Well, good afternoon, everybody in my dragon family. It's Araya. It's our Thursday. Time to be together. So hopefully you guys are coming on. And I'll give you a minute or two. Just for those of you who don't know me, my name is Araya. I am also known as the Dragon Lady in some circles. And I love to work with dragons. I am a dragon and I help people open up to that realm, to get connected, to get cleared out. The dragons are here to help us clear out all the stuff that's keeping us. Hey, Suzanne, from Moving Forward. And there's Deb. We missed you in book club today, Deb. So the dragons are here to help us on our journey towards ascension, towards bringing our light buddies down into this plane. And that's essentially what I help a lot of people do. I'm a psychic medium and an energy healer. And so I do one-on-one sessions, I do groups, I do programs to help people move forward in whatever way they need. So I do like that. I really believe that a moment of clarity can change everything. So I like to help people get that clarity with my psychic readings and energy healing. So today, hi Tien Marie. Today, just talking about something that, is super fun, and we have to start becoming aware of our environment and the dragons that might be right next to you that you just don't even know. If you guys haven't met this guy before, this is my rainbow dragon who hangs out with us here at the house. And sometimes he accompanies me on these videos. So wanted to share, I know in the group there's been postings in the last, since November, since we started the group. We've had postings of pictures and things of people finding dragons on their property or in their neighborhood or in the vicinity of where they live. And they've been driving those streets, living in that area, driving by that coastline or that vista for 20 years, maybe 30, maybe 15. And they are all of a sudden, as their journey opens and they become more conscious and aware, realizing that there are dragons all around them. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit today, because I actually even had some new ones surface for me this week, which was really special. I live in Reno, Nevada, and the area of Lake Tahoe is a very special spiritual vortex. It's very high energy. Last year I actually had an incident or a morning where I woke up and there was a really big spiritual alignment energetically, and my guides were pushing me to do an activation of the vortices between Lake Tahoe, Pyramid Lake, which is near us out on the Indian Reservation, and Shasta, Mount Shasta and Lake Shasta up there. And as it unfolded, I ended up calling in two other beautiful energetic beings, psychic mediums and shamans in their own right. And this activation happened, and I experienced the dragons actually in the earth almost drilling energetically over between the three lakes to create this much bigger vortex in this region. So that was something that happened last year. But what's interesting, hi Teresa, good to see you. You were outside and felt the presence of a dragon right in my face. And he stayed with you all day, and I can't see the, why isn't it let me see that without the, sorry, I can't see the whole comment, I'll have to read it. You couldn't realize something, but stayed with you in the alley, or stayed with you all day. Yes, they're around us, and we just have to start becoming aware. So here I've lived in this region, either in Lake Tahoe on the West Shore, or over in Truckee, or here in Reno, for a lot of years, since after college. And yes, I've been other places, but I've spent a lot of time in these mountains. I grew up coming up here. I've skied up here. I've done a lot of backpacking. I'm working on the Tahoe Rim Trail all the way around the lake, which is 165 miles. And we've completed, let's see, there's only like 40 miles left, something like that. So in that 125 miles, I hadn't really come across any. And I walk this lane a lot. And I've known, well, there must be dragons in this area because there's very powerful vortices. And where there's very powerful vortices, there's usually dragon guardians, such as down in Sedona. I posted last January when I was there my experience with waking up the two twin brother, or the brother dragons, and getting them reunited with mom and energetically released, but also finding all the large guardians of the vortices there. There are actually large guardians in the ridges, with each of them has a head directed directly to one of the vortices, which I didn't realize until I left there. I was there for only 3 or 4 days. But when I left is when I actually got online and looked up a map of the vortexes or the vortices, so that I could see, where they were in relation to the dragons that I've discovered. And as I look, having seen the dragons first, then I see, wow, they're actually each guarding a vortice. That's fascinating. So there's probably a couple more dragons I need to find. And I'll be excited to be there next month, actually, for my Dragon Heart retreat. So watch the skies for some big stuff happening then, because I tell you what, the Dragon Heart program is powerhouse, and those guys coming together with me in Sedona is going to light up some stuff. I feel like there's going to be one big vortex left when we're done. They're all going to be united and merged, and something much bigger come out. We'll see. But anyway, so I was hiking last weekend, working on the Tahoe Rim Trail, and hi Robin, got to walk all day long the first day along this ridge, and it was 7 miles along this ridge, and it was about 2 to 3 miles in that I started realizing, as I left my worldly stuff behind me and was in a very clear space and just sort of emptied out, just walking, got up on this ridgeline and realized, oh my goodness, there's earth dragons moving underneath me, and there were lots of them, and they were coming and going, just almost as if to say, whoa, who's here and what's going on, and feeling like checking into my energy, and obviously feeling me as a dragon present and close to them, like, hey, who's this, what's going on? So it was very cool to actually be walking around this rim trail of Tahoe and experience for the first time feeling the earth dragons actually move in that zone around me. And I felt like there's probably a circuit that they travel around the vortex and between this one and the others, just activating, guarding, whatever they do. But it was very neat to perceive them. So why am I telling these stories? I want you guys to start being aware of, especially when you're away from all your work stuff, away from things you have to do that day, and can relax and empty yourself to, hi Debbie, nice to see you coming on. Empty yourself to that place where you can start perceiving and allowing your energy body to be much more open, so that you can actually start feeling and tuning in and go, whoa, I'm feeling something, what is that? Oh, it's a dragon. Wow, tell me more. Who are you and what are you? And they usually want to reveal and have something to share with you. So it was very interesting for me to perceive them. And then what was very cool is on the third day of my hike, got into a place that's quite far for a day hike. We were over, I want to say about 16 miles in one direction, and probably 7 to 8, maybe 8 miles or more in the other direction. So not a place that I would get to on a regular basis without having to stay overnight, right? It wasn't a day hike place that I'd ever been before. One of the most gorgeous sections around this lake, and the most gorgeous views of the lake, where we actually ended up having views that we didn't expect for over a mile, where it was just this vista of the lake, which it's a big lake. It's like over 30 miles long. Actually, no, it's like close to 70 miles long, 30 miles wide. And so we're walking along and come out on this other ridge where we just kept traversing back and forth, east to west, looking to the east to the lake and looking west towards the Washoe Valley and Carson City, and just hopscotching back and forth is how the trail went. It was very fun, sort of a weaving. And I found as we popped over the west side, there's a ridge out in front of me that was very clearly a dragon, whole dragon spine, the boulders, everything. And I'll post some pictures in the group later with it. But what was very cool about it, I found dragons and ridges before, and these are what you guys are starting to recognize and see, whether they're in the forest, whether they're actually in the water, to start being aware of that and to start looking around your environment and tuning into the dragons that are there. So this one, what was really cool about it that I wanted to share today, it's the first one I found actually on the surface in the planet that's a two-headed dragon. I've worked with two-headed and three-headed dragons energetically within the spirit realms, within the other dimensions, but I have not come across one physically before like this, and to have both heads very clear in the ridge and the whole line of the body. I'm excited to share the pictures with you, because it was one of those heart stopping you. Whenever you come across them, you come out and it just sort of stops your heart and you go, oh my gosh, there's, whoa. And a lot of times it's, how did I not see that there before, right? You're driving by a place you've driven by hundreds of times, and oh my gosh, how many times I've driven by that guy, and now I can actually see it and communicate and share information and actually expand myself even further, because that's what the dragons are going to do for you. When you can start connecting to them they have lots to share with you. They have a lot of special gifts. They have a lot of little neat tips and tricks, and they've just been waiting for people to see and recognize them. And some of them actually need some help to be released. Some of them you will feel and sense that they're locked energetically where they are, or they need to be awoken. Sometimes you'll realize that they're still asleep and just in a not comatose, but a very deep sleep state where they're actually waiting for a human to come along and awaken them. And that's sort of their signal cue of, well, we're moving to this time on the planet when, okay, humans are ready to interact with us again. And it starts opening doors for them and for us. So this one was just very exciting because of the two-headed aspect. And I did find myself very quickly wanting to just start singing and opening my heart and having this, I felt like it was very much this dragon's song. And you'll find that. You'll find this light language start moving through you from your heart space that wants to be sung, whether they're mantras or a syllabic chant or just toning. Allow it to come through, because that's how information travels. Sound, light, color, there's a lot of coded information being transferred on those wavelengths. And you will experience, especially if you know that this dragon is sleeping, you can sense it. Even if you're not aware of that yet, if you start singing and have a song come up, allow it to come out, because that might awaken something within you and within it that will help you actually perceive that dragon more clearly or open that door of experience. So just coming on to share that today, because that was my weekend. I had an just incredible thing, but had 2 separate days where I got to experience different dragons in that particular area of this near Lake Tahoe that, like I said, I've been here years and years and years, never came across it. And they're ready, they want to be awakened, they want to be sung to, whether they're awake or not. If you're feeling a song coming through, let it come, because that is an interaction for them. That helps them know that you are open to them and they can start communicating with you. And you might actually find that if there's some in your region around your home space, that as you connect with them, they will start visiting you at home. That they, even though their energy, their body physically might be in the rocks or the ridge, they start that connection with you, and they might have some cool things to show you or other dragons in the area to introduce you to. So just wanted to bring that out for you guys to ponder, contemplate, and just ingest into your being of the realms of possibility. Let those doorways of possibility open within you so that you can just keep moving forward, because that's what it's about. It's about more light, more information, more love coming in, and the dragons help us access that, especially for those of you, like myself, that love the dragons and are connected to them. So let's get all those web connections, that big web of connections, that whole grid around the planet, let's just get it activated and awake, because it's bringing us into such an incredible place. There's so much happening this year energetically. Hi Trinity, good to see you. And if you guys have questions, of course, please post them. You can post them now if you have any questions about that experience or what it's like to come across that, or how you would perceive that if you don't necessarily feel energy or get intuitive hits like that very clearly. How could you perceive that? So Christiana, I've started to sing every day, mostly in the shower and in my car for the past week now. Mantras that I hum or sing more sounds than words, and I don't know where that's coming from, but I simply let it out. That's awesome, Christiana. And there's a lot happening with the dragons up in Quebec. I'm very excited to put a workshop together up there next spring, because there's a lot of heart opening happening up there. So those that are actually connected to the dragons already there, they're feeling that heart opening, and that language just comes straight from the heart. So I love that you're letting it flow through you. Suzanne, my thing has been to see air dragons in the neighborhood, and I can still smell when they, he or she, are close. Yeah, you can actually with those air dragons, and there is that. You'll also start to feel electricity, that there's a lot of electricity that they're transmitting that comes through. That's one way that people that aren't necessarily intuitive might start feeling, if your body gets sort of, I don't want to say prickly, but it's like that spine tingling, like all of your senses just sort of go up on the back of your neck. And Team Marie, let me get to that. Is there anything about 2- and 3-headed dragons? So feeling that electrical current amplify, pay attention to that, especially if you're like in an area and you don't necessarily see the dragon yet. If your guides can connect to you in that way and make you pay attention and look for something, like, oh, And you can ask your guides to give you specific signals. Like say, you know what, show me something in my body that when you want me to pay attention to something that I can feel, that tangibly feel, whether you knock me on the shoulder or have an electrical current, or I used to get really high-pitched tones into the inner ear when I was supposed to pay attention to something. It's a way that my guides could connect and reach me. So yeah, electrical current is a good one. And yeah, like goosebumps, Suzanne, exactly. When I have different confirmations. I usually know there's an energetic shift happening when I get that ear piercing through my inner ear. I get a full body tingle, head to toe along my spine when I know that truth's being told, when I'm getting a confirmation of something that someone else is sharing or I'm sharing that is absolutely spot on. And then, like I said, electrical current, like hair standing on the end when there's a big being around that I need to tune into. So your question, Team Marie, is there anything about 2- and 3-headed dragons? Typically, the black dragons are the ones that represent and have 2 or 3 heads. As I just tune into that information, because I've never dove into why particularly they have 2 or 3 heads, I know that there's other lineages that can access that or have, like there's some that actually have 6 or 7. But as I dive into just the 2 or 3 and ask, okay, what is that really about? Why do those dragons have that? And it's really about those dragons that are in a role where they are asked to guide or protect in a place where there's multi-direction needed. And they have different roles, that each head or each aspect of that dragon has a different aspect that is its focus for, you know, it might need to, sort of like this one where this 2-headed dragon is guarding this vortex. So there's one actually always watching directly at the lake and the other able to turn the other direction, fan the opposite direction for something coming at, but this one's watching for something coming in, so that it's almost like an extra protection in a sense of if there's a normal dragon there with a single head, single neck, how quickly could they actually access all sides? So if they're on in a really important space, if I'm just feeling the information come through of when there's a need for directional protection or vigilance in more than one direction at once, that to catch things very quickly, that would be a reason that they would incarnate with or have that manifest for them to have multiple heads. And lots to share. Now, as I say that, I'm actually being told that some do actually choose that just to have multiple, almost like multiple personalities, where they can allow each other to banter off of each other, and that some of the 2-headed ones actually are also to very distinctly show their male and female aspects when they're, and a lot of times those are specifically as guides, where those that are assigned, that choose to be guides to humanity, that they can choose to come in specifically with the 2 heads, so that it's very easy for the individual that's being guided to sense the male and female aspect separately. So Suzanne nodding with your comments about the body goosebumps. Yeah, absolutely, Suzanne. So that's what I want to share today. Just starting to be aware of the dragons in your environment. Who's around you? What's around you? And I know that we've talked, typically in book club, we talk about the locations that they're out on the planet and actually how to see them in the maps, and that people never look at maps quite the same way. And even realizing that the bodies of water that are near you, if you look at the body of water, and I'll post a picture so that you know what I'm talking about in one of the comments later, of a body of water that looks like a dragon as well. Like confirmation, I got that when I looked at the activation site for South Africa, was shown very clearly when I honed in on this one area that I knew was where the crown chakra is. And then someone suggested something just down the coast a bit, and I thought, okay, I'll look into it, and I Google Earthed it and pull in, and the entire coastline right there is this river that goes inland, and it's fully in the shape of a water dragon. Like very clearly the head, everything, it's just incredible. I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's where I'm supposed to be. Perfect, thank you for that confirmation. Yeah, bodies of water quite often can actually, that are holding water dragons, are in the shape. of a dragon. So look for those. Anyway, have a wonderful day. It's always good to connect. Robin, could dragon energy be in a hill with lawn or trees? Yeah, absolutely. You know, even though we have modern things built over them, or even with structures and buildings, like in San Francisco, I'm certain if I go and tune into some of the ridges and the hills there that are covered with buildings and structures, I know that there's some dragons on the hills underneath those that just need to be tuned into. Just because our modern structures are over them doesn't mean they're not there, or that they're not holding that space there that they're supposed to. So they can be anywhere, but to really, if you're not used to being able to tune in just energetically and intuitively, you can get visuals by the ones more easily in nature that you see in the rocks or the trees. But yeah, hillsides, boy, when you see a hill of a specific shape and you can feel it, like, whoa, that's a big dragon mount. And there's quite a few in England, in the UK, and Ireland, where you just know, like near a stone circle, or a series of ridges around some of the stone circles. It's very clearly dragon spines, whatever the topography of modern stuff has done to it, with lawns and grass and golf courses and all kinds of things that we've shifted things around. But yeah, so that'll be it for this week. I always love connecting with you guys. If you're curious about working together, I do 20-minute discovery calls to see what kind of work you're looking for, where are you headed in your journey, what programs or sessions do I offer that could get you aligned with that. And then definitely watch for information starting to come out in September towards the next program that I'm designing. It's going to be a 4 to 5 month program starting end of January to take us into the Eye of the Dragon. So always love meeting with you guys. Have a wonderful Thursday afternoon, and I'll see you next week. Bye, you guys. Lots of love to you.